Hello there. This is the nail art design that we're going to be doing this time, and I am going to the coast this weekend, so I was kind of inspired to do a sand and surf. So what we'll be creating then is the sand and the water, and then some surf. So some waves coming up against the sand and causing some white capping and so on. This works obviously on long nails like this practice nail or short nails like mine. It'll just be a little bit more compact. And you can add some glitter at the end and a starfish to certain nails if you'd like. Somebody who is an actual painter might do this with a lot more skill than me. I'm not a painter by any means, so I was mostly dabbing the whole time, which you'll see. But I hope that basically you enjoy this nail art tutorial, and when you go to translate it onto your hands, I hope it comes out as well as you like. Okay, let's get started. What I've gone ahead and done is I've painted my nails already in a sort of half and half with two colors. One is a sand colored nail polish, the other is a sky blue nail polish. Obviously you can use any kind that you have in your inventory. What I used was Sally Hansen, Hard as Nails, and this one is 580 Stonewall. I thought that made a perfect sandy color. And then for the blue I used Essie Cote Azure. Just looks like that. And what I would highly recommend for this base coat is that you get one coat nail polishes for laying down your half and half design. Only because if you have to put on multiple coats of one or the other, you're going to have a very thick nail design, and that's not a great idea. Also, as you may notice on my nails here, you do not need to be accurate in terms of making the blue shore up right against the sandy color. If you have a nice opaque blue like the Essie, then you can overlap it like on this finger here, and there's no problems. It won't show through or anything like that. Or you can leave a little gap like on this finger and this finger. That's completely fine as well, because if you will notice in this image, there's a bit of brown and also some waves that I've added here that's going to mask that line. Now, to show the wet sand on here, which is the brown on here, I'm using this Borghese, and this one is B306 Arrivederci Mist. You know, there are so many colors like this out there that it could be anything that you use that is basically just kind of a warm brown color. This to me looked a lot like wet sand. Okay, and then to finish everything, I am also using a basic white, in this case Sinful Colors, and I found kind of a bronzy color. So just to show you how you would start off this nail, I'll go ahead and I'll use another one of the nails here. And again, since you do not have to be particularly accurate with your lining up of the sandy and the blue color, all I did here was I just applied the sand color, creating my shoreline. Like that. Okay, now while this sandy color is still wet, or you can wait for it to dry, it really doesn't matter, but I just did it while it was still wet because you can. You want to get your blue color on there. So again, with this one, nothing fancy, you just draw right along that line and finish off the rest of the nail. Now the important part at this stage is that you do let your nails completely dry before you move on to adding the wet sand and the wave effect and stuff like that. So that's why I've started off with the nails like this, so that we can just go ahead and move on to that step. Okay, so the next part is to take your wet sand color and go ahead and overlap your sand and blue colors. And so I'm going to use a little palette where I'm going to put this color, and then I'm going to use a separate brush to actually apply. And you'll have to forgive the messiness of the palette. I used it for my test try, and so it's got everything on there already. So I'm just going to get a little bit of this on a smaller brush. Now you're just going to take your design, and you're going to take your wet sand color, and then you're just going to kind of dab this along, favoring the blue area since it's probably going to be the smaller area. And you're just going to dab it along here to show the wet sand between the water and the beach. So now you can see why it really doesn't matter that you get absolutely correct in lining up your blue and sand colors. So you can see here that in my guide nail I have waves crashing along the shoreline, and so the way I can do that is to create a slightly lighter shade of blue than what I had for my sky color and watercolor here. So what I will do is I will just reuse my Essie and my white to create a blend. So I'll dab out some of my blue, and then I will also dab out some white, and I will mix those together with my small art brush. And this is turning out to be maybe a little bit too light. So in a case like that, I will go ahead and add back a little bit of the blue. Okay, now when I have this good and blended, I'm going to take this and I'm going to draw waves along the shore, and for this I'm going to zoom in a bit. Okay, and here we have our nail, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw the waves like this along the shoreline. So just waves crashing up against the shore. Pretty simple. And then I'm going to wipe my brush off almost completely, or dab it off so that there's hardly anything there, and I'm going to create a second line back here, just a very faint line with some sporadic crashing of the waves. Okay? Very simple. I am no artist. I definitely don't have any painting training or skills of any kind. This is just something, you know, that is easy for me to do because it's just dabbing. Okay, and then after that you will take some white, some pure white. So I'm going to dab that onto my palette, although you can't see what I'm doing. And then get that on your brush. And you don't have to wipe your brush off any more than you already have, because if the colors blend, so be it. And then you will take your white and you will just, between the wet sand and the waves, you will just add some white caps here and there. There's nothing fancy about this. The only thing fancy is that once you've dabbed it on it the first time, go over it immediately. Don't wait for it to dry. Go over it immediately and spread it out. And we're not going to touch the ones that we made as the second level, or the second layer. Those are just going to stay the light blue. And then you're just going to do that for each nail. So this is basically what it looks like at this point. And I got a little more white cappy with the thumb, I think, because that just showed up better. So it's really up to you what you put in at this point. I put in a couple of seabirds, and the easiest way that I know of to do that is to start from the inside out. So when you draw your seabird, you would draw the right wing first, and then you would draw the left wing from the middle out. And I've actually let my white get a little too thick, so that's why it's not cooperating as much as I would like. Okay, so of course my camera conked out on me, but basically after you draw in your starfish shape with the bronze or dark brown color, then you're just going to want to draw right over it with your sand color. And I'm just going to do it again on this piece of paper just to show you what I mean, but basically you get your bronze color and you draw your line for your guide. Then you draw 2 little feet like a tripod, but with 2 feet instead of 3. And then you draw your arms. There's your starfish. Okay, and then you just draw right over that with the sand color. But don't draw it all the way to the end. You want to leave that tiny outline. Okay, now you want to add white just onto the tip, sort of like when you were white capping your waves. This just adds a bit of dimension. So I thought that a nice finish for these nails would be to put some glitter along the waves, and you can kind of see here it's very, very subtle, but all I did was I took out some glitter, and the one I used was Sinful Colors, and the color is 79 Opal Glitter. And I just dabbed some of that out onto my palette, which is just a piece of paper. And I used the same art brush that I used for the waves, and I just picked up a little bit of that and, you know, just dabbed it on. Just here and there to add a little bit of glitter highlight. Oh, did that off camera. So just here and there. Then when you top coat it, that's when the glitter really stands out, is when you top coat it and you have that shine on there. You can kind of see it. I didn't want to do it too thickly because I did not want it to be the dominant thing that you see. But yeah, so let me top coat these. I also added a little bit of glitter to the starfish. You can see there it catches the light a little bit. I also apologize for how dry my hands are. I forgot to lotion them before I started this little tutorial.